Good morning, class. Today we're going to be reviewing over the sentence variety that we learned the other day in class. So we're going to begin with a Kahoot game. These are all your own questions that you put on the activity and some of the examples that you put for your sentences. So we're going to be using those today in our Kahoot. So as you come in and sit down, go ahead and log into your Chromebooks and put your number in and put your name onto the Kahoot. Okay, it looks like everybody's in. All right, question 1. Which type of sentence contains one complete thought, also known as an independent clause? So you have simple, compound, or complex to choose from. All right. Simple. Yes, that's correct. It looks like almost everybody put simple. So, simple sentence is one complete thought or one independent clause. If it is two independent clauses, then it will be what?
Compound.
Compound. Correct.
I was gonna say simple too.
All right.
Who's in first?
All right, number 2, true or false? This is a simple sentence. The roller coaster was huge and swirly. So, yes. Good, everybody got it correct. Even though the roller coaster, and it has 2 adjectives, huge and swirly, so it has and, which could be seen as a fanboy, but in this sentence, it's not used as a conjunction. It's just used to have 2 adjectives. All right, question 3. Which type of sentence combines 2 independent clauses with a fanboy or coordinating conjunction? Compound. All right, looks like most people put compound. Like we were talking about earlier, 2 independent clauses will make a compound sentence, and it's connected with a fanboy, which is your coordinated conjunctions. Question 4. True or false? Simple, compound, and complex sentences can have a comma. So you're choosing true or false? True. Yes, most people put true. So a simple, compound, and complex sentence can have a comma. All types of sentences can have a comma. Will a compound sentence always have at least 2 subjects and 2 verbs? Yes. Good job. Y'all answered that quickly. And almost everybody got it correct. So, a compound sentence will always have at least 2 subjects and 2 verbs. Does anybody know why?
Because it has 2 independent clauses.
Correct. It has 2 independent clauses, and an independent clause always has to have at least 1 subject and 1 verb. So that means a compound sentence will at least have to have 2 of those things. Question 6, true or false? This is a compound sentence. I love going to the park and riding all the rides. False. That one was kind of tricky. So even though it has a comma before the and riding all the rides, it is not a complete sentence at all. It's written incorrectly. So if you took out the comma, this would be a simple sentence. But in order to be a compound sentence, what would we need to add to that last part?
A subject.
Yes, correct. So if we said, I love going to the park, comma, and I love riding all the rides, that would be a compound sentence. So that one was a little bit tricky. All right, Question 7. What makes a dependent clause different from an independent clause? It has a fanboy, it has a verb, it has a subject, or it has an awubis word or subordinating conjunction.
Yes.
Alright. It looks like almost everybody got it right. That's good. So a dependent clause is different from an independent clause because it has an awubis word, which is our subordinating conjunction. And both of them, what are some of the things that are similar between a dependent clause and an independent clause?
They both have to do with English.
Yes, they do both have to do with English. Good job. But they both have a subject and they both have a verb.
I was gonna say that. I
So
was gonna be wrong.
they have both similarities and differences, but a dependent clause would be an incomplete thought and it has an awubis word. Alright. Question 8. Which type of sentence includes both a dependent and independent clause? Good job. A complex sentence has both a dependent and an independent clause. True or false? This is a complex sentence. We went on a hike since we were at the mountains. Good job. That is true. So, could we write this sentence in a different way by putting the dependent clause in the front of the sentence?
Sure.
Oh,
Yes.
And what would we have to add to the sentence if we did that?
yeah. A comma.
Yes. Good job, Maddie. Awesome.
I know.
Why is it important for us to use sentence variety in our own writing? It makes our writing more clear and fluent. The reader will be more interested. It improves the quality of our writing, or all of the above. All of the above. So all of those things are reasons why it's important for us to use sentence variety in our own writing. And in the last lesson, we were learning about the different types of sentences and why they're important to use in our writing. And today, we're going to be learning about how exactly to incorporate all these different types of sentences in our writing. So we're going to take it a little bit further. So I'll go ahead and pass out your papers for today. And you're going to be writing on these throughout the PowerPoint. And go ahead and put your name and the date on it, because I'm going to take these sheets up at the end of class.
So who won the Kahoot? Click next.
And I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint. I'm not going to say who won because it was not a nice name.
That was not a nice name.
All
It's
right.
29 in case you were.
Does everyone have their name and date on the paper?
Yes.
All right. So as I'm doing the PowerPoint, make sure that you're writing your definitions down on the appropriate places.
Bless you.
We're going to begin by going over the learning targets. So we're going to be learning how to identify a run-on, simple, compound, and complex sentence, and how to define those vocabulary words. We're also going to be learning how to change sentences by expanding, combining, and reducing them. We're going to learn how to change the type of sentence without changing the meaning, and use sentence variety to increase the quality of your writing. And your learning targets are over there on the board in case you want to reference them throughout the lesson. Everybody should be looking at the PowerPoint instead of playing with things around the room. Alright, this is just a little bit of a review from the last lesson that we need to go over. So you should be writing your definitions while I'm reading them on the board. A dependent clause is a group of words including a subject and a predicate that cannot stand alone as a simple sentence. However, an independent clause is a group of words including a subject and predicate that can stand alone as a simple sentence. And we talked about this during the Kahoot. The difference between a dependent and independent clause is that an independent clause is a complete thought, while a dependent clause is an incomplete thought that can't stand alone. Does anybody want to give an example of an independent clause? Let's hear from someone who hasn't talked. Maddie.
I don't know.
So it's also a simple sentence. An independent clause is just a simple sentence.
So like, I like food.
Good job. That is an independent clause. So you have I, which is your subject, and you have like, which is your verb. Alright.
Yeah.
So that is an independent clause. And a simple sentence is another name for an independent clause. And it's a group of words consisting of at least one subject and one verb that expresses a complete thought. And as we learned from the Kahoot, you can have more than one subject and more than one verb, but it can still be a simple sentence. And a run-on sentence is two or more independent clauses connected improperly. So an example of this would be, I love to write papers. I would write one every day if I had the time. So that is two independent clauses connected improperly because it doesn't have your coordinating conjunction and comma that you need to make it a complete sentence. Does everybody have their definitions written down, or you need another minute? Okay. I'll give you one more minute to get this written down. And the reason why we're learning about run-on sentences today is because we have a lot of those in your Fairbear essays. And we're just going to learn how to expand, reduce, and combine your run-on sentences in order to make them correct and sound better to your readers. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and look at an example of a run-on sentence, and together as a class, we're going to try reducing this down to a bunch of simple sentences. So your run-on sentence today is, Fairbear is running with excitement to get to Sea Island, where he and his friends will have the time of their life because they have a ton of things planned to do, like stay in a 5-star hotel for the weekend, play beach volleyball on the sand, relax. Guys, y'all need to be reading as I'm reading aloud instead of passing notes. Alright. And playing beach volleyball in the sand, relax in the hammocks, and play football in the water. If there is a pool table, the winner will get a big pot of honey, so Fairbear and his friends cannot wait to be there. Alright, I'm going to give you all a few minutes to read this in your heads and think about a few simple sentences you can create from this really long sentence. Because that was really confusing, wasn't it? Yeah. Really long and not much structure there. So just read this in your head and think of a few simple sentences you could create to reduce this down. I really appreciate that Chaz was listening to me while I was talking and reading the PowerPoint and not messing around. Alright, so y'all should have been thinking in your heads a few simple sentences to kind of reduce this down. So we're going to start by chunking this into little portions. So the first part we're going to do is Fairbear is running with excitement to get to Sea Island where him and his friends will have the time of their life. How could we reduce this down into two simple sentences? Y'all can talk,
Okay.
discuss a little bit.
Fairbear is running to Sea Island.
Yes, so that could be our first simple sentence. So go ahead on your first line, write, Fairbear is running with excitement to get to Sea Island. Noah, write it down. You need to be writing. Later we're going to use this for the next activity, so you're going to need to know this.
I got it. Gotta teach.
You might actually want to write it down. You're going to need it later.
I gotta teach.
Alright, and we can create one more complete sentence out of the rest of this where he and his friends will have the time of their life. So how can we make that into another simple sentence?
He and his friends will have the time of their life.
Yes, that's good. So you can write, him and his friends will have the time of their life, or you could say like
Day.
at Sea Island, they will have the time of their life. Yeah, you could change it to they. And the next part of the sentence is because they have a ton of things planned to do, like stay in a five-star hotel for the weekend, play beach volleyball in the sand, relax in the hammocks, and play football in the water. So how can we reduce this down to 2 complete sentences?
They have a ton of things planned to do.
Yes,
And
good.
one sentence.
They have a ton of things planned to do. That can be one sentence. And really for this next part, you could make it into 2 complete sentences or make it just 1 complete sentence with a list of things. Would y'all rather do 2 separate sentences or
List.
a list? Okay. So, Chaz, what do you think the next sentence could be? Starting from here. They stay in a 5-star hotel, and then a list of stuff.
They stay in a 5-star hotel, play beach volleyball, and relax in the sand.
Good job. That's perfect. So you can say they will stay in a 5-star hotel, play beach volleyball, relax in the hammocks, and play football. And the last part of this sentence is if there is a pool table, the winner will get a big pot of honey. So Fairbear and his friends cannot wait to be there. How could we reduce this into 2 more simple sentences? Noah,
So,
how can we reduce the first part of this sentence? If there is a pool table, the winner will get a big pot of honey into a simple sentence.
the winner of the pool game will get a big pot of honey.
Good. So let's put that. The winner of the pool game will get a big pot of honey.
Let me clarify. Let's put billiards, so it's not to be confused with like an actual water pool.
I already wrote pool game.
Well, we don't want to change the meaning of the sentence. We just want, we want to use the same words, just change the type of sentence.
Yeah.
Billiards in.
Yeah.
Billiard pool table.
So, Maddie, can you do the last part? What could be the last sentence of the paragraph?
Fairbear and his friends can't wait to be there.
Good job. They cannot wait to be there. So, this full sentence we just condensed down to 6 simple sentences. And it's a lot more fluent and it's a lot more correct. Alright? So whenever you do a run-on sentence like this and it sounds really long and confusing, we're going to try to reduce these sentences by creating and turning them into simple, correct sentences. Does everybody understand? Okay. Does everyone have this down, or do you need a minute? Alright. Noah, did you write your sentences down?
I got it.
I hope so, because you're going to need to use them
I
later.
got it. Thanks, dear.
Alright, here's some more definitions that we'll need to know before going into the second part of the activity. What makes a compound sentence? Two independent clauses or simple sentences combined with a comma and coordinating conjunction. So when we're doing a compound sentence, we can't forget to put that comma before your coordinating conjunction and your second independent clause. And your coordinating conjunctions, make sure to write these down because you'll need to reference them later to do the next part of the activity, is for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Also called your fanboys. And what makes a complex sentence? This is an independent clause with a dependent clause that can come before or after. Like we did in the Kahoot, we changed it from being at the end to the beginning. And what makes the difference when you put it before or after? Anybody tell me that? What do you have to do if you put it before that you don't have to do if you put it after?
You have to put a comma if you put it before.
Yes, correct. So if your dependent clause comes at the beginning of the sentence, you will have to put a comma at the end of it before you do your independent clause. Good job, Maddie. And subordinating conjunctions are your abubis words as, although, after, while, when, until, because, before, if, and since. So go ahead and write those down because you'll also need to reference these during the next activity. Does anybody have a question about compound or complex sentences? Noah, are you
So-
writing
Yeah,
your notes? I don't see you writing.
I already know those.
It doesn't matter. You need to write them down on your paper so you can reference them later, or else you'll have a really hard time with the activity. Let's sit up and get your feet off the desk, too. Thank you. If you keep acting up, Noah, you're gonna have to put your name on the board, and you're not gonna have recess today.
Alright.
And if you don't finish his notes, then you'll have to do them during recess. Does everybody have everything down, or do you need another minute?
1 more minute. Okay.
Alright. So we'll do the next part of the activity. We're going to practice combining and expanding simple sentences before y'all do it on your own. So we're going to take, the company had record profits this year, period. No one is getting raises. So you're going to take these two simple sentences and we're going to try to combine, or we can put a dependent clause at the beginning to make it a compound or complex sentence. Does anybody have an idea of a fanboy or an abubis word that we could do to combine or expand these sentences? But, good job, Noah. Next time, please raise your hand. So we can say the company had record profits this year, comma, but no one is getting raises. That's a perfect way to combine these two sentences. Very good job, Noah. Another way we could have done this is by saying, although the company had record profits this year, comma, no one is getting raises. So that's a way to expand it by using an abubis word to make it a complex sentence. Alright, and the next example, I had a large hole in my rain boot, period. I had wet, smelly feet at school all day, period. So we're gonna combine these two sentences by using a coordinating conjunction or a subordinating conjunction.
Subordinated.
Why would you use a subordinating conjunction?
Because you started off with a deep
No, these are two complete sentences. So we can use a subordinating or coordinating. Do you have an example you'd like to tell the class?
Yeah, because I had a large hole in my rain boot, I had wet, smelly feet at school all day.
Good job. That's a good example of a complex sentence. Because I had wet, smelly feet all day at school, I had a large hole in my rain boot.
Wait, what? What'd you say?
You want to switch those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had wet, smelly feet at school all day.
Because I had wet, smelly feet. Or because I had a large hole in my boot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what you mean to say.
That's what I said.
Okay. Okay. Because I had a large hole in my rain boot, comma, I had wet, smelly feet all day.
There you go.
Right.
Can we write a
Did y'all
different
put
one?
that down? Yeah, you can write a different thing if you have one. Do you want to say your example?
I was just gonna say since instead of because.
Yes, that's another good word to use. Since I had a large hole in my rain boot, comma, I had wet, smelly feet at school all day. Did you make sure to put your comma in there?
I will.
Alright, good job. Don't forget your comma, because you want to be grammatically correct with these sentences. Those are two great examples, Noah and Maddie. Alright, the last one. Sarah went to the dentist, period. Sarah had 2 cavities, period. Alright, y'all think a second. Try to get your own little example in your head. Alright, Chaz, do you want to do this one?
I would pass.
You'll pass?
Pass.
You
Pass the
wanna-
question on to Maddie.
Do you want Maddie to help you? Maddie, why don't you try to give him a word to use? And. Okay. And. Can you combine these two sentences by using and?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and tell the class.
Sarah went to the dentist
Keep say the whole thing.
and Sarah had 2 cavities.
Good job. And what will you put before and? To make it a compound sentence. A comma. Good job, Chaz. That's great. Sarah went to the dentist, comma, and Chaz had and Sarah had 2 cavities. How could you change Sarah in that second part to make it a little bit better?
She.
Good job.
So you want us to say she instead?
You can. It's correct either way, but it sounds a little bit better if you don't use the same noun several
Yes.
times.
Yeah.
No.
I had something a different teacher.
Okay, do you want
I
to
put the
class?
last sentence first and then added so or comma so.
Oh, that's very good, Noah. Sarah had 2 cavities, comma, so she went to the dentist. That's very good. And it's very good that Sarah knows that she has 2 cavities.
Exactly. Her teeth were hurting. She just needed to go to the dentist.
That's a good job, Noah. Alright, we're gonna go to the last part of the activity. So now you're gonna try to expand and combine on your own.
Yeah.
So, using your the simple sentences we created as a class, you're going to take those and try to create your own paragraph, combining them using your subordinated conjunctions and your coordinated conjunctions. Okay? So I'm going to give you 5 or 6 minutes to write your own paragraph and combine those sentences together. This will be a lot easier if you wrote your
I got it up
sentences
here.
before.
I got it up here. You know, photograph.
Mhm. Thank you everyone for working so quietly and independently. Keep going, I'm just looking.
I don't want you looking. I thought it was good.
I forgot we were writing.
Guys, quiet down. This is independent work.
I have to use the bathroom.
After you finish this paragraph, you can use the bathroom.
Tell my mom that you didn't let me use the bathroom.
I messed up. I need a new sheet of paper.
What did you do?
I didn't understand the question.
You didn't understand
So I
what
just,
you were
I
supposed
just started
to do?
making my own sentences.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
really-
I'll give you another piece of paper. If you have a question, you can ask the teacher. Okay?
I just didn't remember the question. I just started writing.
This is the X-Flow class.
So, what you're doing is taking the sentences from before that we created as a class
I got
and
you,
just
yeah.
combining
Yeah,
them
I figured.
or expanding them. Make sure that when you're using your coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions, also called your fanboys and arubis words, that you're using your commas correctly. Can I see your work?
Not yet, it's not done yet.
I have another question
Yes.
before I start writing this up. We're supposed to be using these sentences.
Yes.
Okay.
What?
It said above, so I was like, I was making sure we were supposed to use those.
Yeah,
'cause
so
it
you
wrote
use
directly
these
above.
6 sentences,
So,
and you're just gonna combine them with your and, but, or, and, the. Or you can use your arubis.
Okay. I think I'm done.
So, if you use because here, then you won't need a comma. Okay? Because if your dependent clause is at the end of the sentence, you can just write it without using the comma. Good job. Thank you for flipping your paper over when you're done. But you can review over what you wrote to make sure you made no mistakes.
I don't know. I don't get tired.
Please read over your paper.
I did. Before I flipped over, right over it.
Don't talk back. Just read over your paper. Alright, I'll give y'all about 1 more minute. Don't be on your phone now. Put it away. Why don't you draw a picture of Fairbear going to the Sea Island on the back of your paper?
I'm not an artist.
You can use stick figures.
To draw a bear.
He's not a bear, it's his name.
Pretty sure he's a bear. The prize for winning the whole game is a pot of honey.
I can still be a person.
He's a bear. It was like a essay thing I had to do.
Bear is spelled wrong. So
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want to say it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They spelled it B-A, like bear.
B-A-I-R.
Like air.
That's why I thought it was a person.
Alright, class. Y'all say yes,
Yes, yes.
No, it's
Alright, we're gonna go ahead and go on to the next part of the activity, which is the review. Alright. So we're gonna review over our learning targets. You can finish up while I'm saying this part. So the learning targets, you're gonna be identifying and defining your different types of sentences. So you have those on your notes if you need to go back and look at it. And we're gonna be making sure, because we're gonna be peer reviewing one of your other classmates' papers. So what you're gonna be wanting to look at is make sure that they have these learning targets, like try to find out if they have these learning targets down. So you're gonna make sure that they were able to expand, combine, and reduce their sentences. This means writing your awubis and your fanboys correctly using the commas. Alright, and you're gonna change the type of sentence without changing the meaning. So make sure that in their paragraph, they didn't add any words or take away any words that change the meaning of the sentences that we did at the beginning of class. And overall, this is to help us increase the quality of your writing. So on your peer review, you're gonna write or think about one correction or solution that they could do to improve something they might not have had quite right. Okay, so we're helping our partner improve the quality of your writing. So make sure that you're referencing these learning targets as you're reading your partner's work. So what you're gonna be doing is on the next few minutes is reading your partner's paragraph. You're gonna put a check next to one of the glows, and you're gonna put a question mark next to one of the grows. So that means a check mark next to something they did good, and a question mark over something you're kind of like, I don't think this is quite right. And also, after you do that, you're gonna think about an area of improvement that you can discuss with your partner during the conference to help correct that mistake. Does everybody understand?
Got it.
Alright,
Actually, what's
so,
yeah, you can show me what. Sure. I want to know this.
But nobody has mine.
Yeah, no one can take yours.
Oh, I know that.
alright,
I don't need this.
Why do you want mine? You can't read it.
class?
Yo.
Yes. Alright, so we are gonna get started. You're reading quietly and doing this quietly. Nobody should be talking to your partner. Alright? If you have a question, you can raise your hand. You do a one check and one question mark. And you can do multiple glows or multiple grows if you find them, but at least have one.
Question. Is it wrong if they didn't spell out and they used an emblem to
I'll try it back.
Yeah, that's fine. You know that it's an.
If they spell something wrong, do I put a bad mark?
No, mostly you're just
Spell it
looking.
wrong.
Mostly you're just looking for the learning target. So just look for if they use their subordinating coordinating conjunctions correctly, and if they didn't change the meaning. We're not really being too picky about vocab or spelling and other types of grammar right now. We're not working in the box yet. You have to put your.
I did.
Oh, this is yours.
Yes.
Alright. Where's your question?
Question mark
I
right
should
there.
know added some stuff into this.
No, I didn't. I just condensed it a lot.
Did they ever say
Do you have your check?
Oh, yeah.
No, where's your check?
Oh, yeah.
This is independent. We're
Check.
not supposed to be talking.
I have my check and my question mark. And I marked out comma because she didn't need it.
Okay. You have your check?
And my question mark. And I marked out a comma because she didn't need it.
You need to be reading over this.
I did read it.
Listen to what I'm saying. And you need to be thinking about one correction that you could help her make.
Okay, I got it.
Okay? You don't have to put just one. You can put multiple.
Says one.
When everybody's done, please flip over your paper so I know that you're done. Alright, great job everybody. Now we're gonna do the partner conference, so please look up at the board and I'm gonna explain what we're gonna be doing. So y'all are gonna take turns being the teacher and you're gonna talk to your partner about their glow and their grow and how they can correct their growth. So this is an activity to help your partner be a better writer. So we're just giving constructive feedback and we're not being harsh about the feedback. You're going to tell them nicely and you're going to do a positive and a not a negative, an area of improvement. Alright? So we're going to be nice about our comments to our partner. And you're going to take turns. Y'all all three are going to work together. And the one person who, while one person's being the teacher and the student, the other person can help them make corrections. Alright? Does everybody understand what you're going to be doing?
Yes.
Alright, who wants to be the teacher first? Alright, you're going to be the teacher and Maddie will be the student and Chaz, you'll help them do the corrections.
What?
Alright, y'all can discuss. Go ahead.
One of the glows, I'm doing this right. One of the glows I found was your first sentence was perfect. No problem with that. The questions I had was, you stated that they have a ton of things planned to do, and then you stated another sentence which you included all those things, but you didn't really need to, since you already said they have a ton of things planned. So that was one of the grows. I would just left out that sentence because you already said they had a ton of activities planned. And then one correction I put, you put a comma you didn't need, so I marked it up.
Okay, and why is the comma incorrect?
Because the dependent clause is at the end of the sentence, you don't need it.
Alright, that's good. Alright, so Chaz, do you have any comments?
No.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Then y'all switch.
Alright, who's the teacher now?
Oh, so someone else is be teacher? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be. Your glow was your first sentence because I think it's right. But your area that is not right is you forgot a period at the end of one of your sentence and you made a run-on sentence. Oh, Am I supposed to read the sentence that he did wrong?
And Noah, how do you think that he can correct the run-on sentence?
Study more.
Can you read the run-on sentence?
Yes. He said they stayed in a 5-star hotel and played pool games. Bear and his friends can't wait to be there.
So how can he fix that?
Add a period.
Good job.
Like
All
Maddie
right.
said.
So Chaz,
Alright,
can
so
you?
I'm teacher now.
Wait, she didn't say her correction.
So he put period.
Yeah.
But then he has to get rid of a comma too, so.
All right. So Chaz, you be the teacher.
Alright,
Make sure that y'all are writing down on your conference notes.
Oh, I
Correct.
thought we filled it on our own.
Okay.
Wait, I'm writing what I
You'll
found.
write. Well, y'all will switch after that.
And then we write it
together.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So Chaz, you be the teacher.
okay,
Teach me.
so, what were we saying? The good thing
Glows,
was? Okay,
glows are
glows.
good things.
Noah's glows were the first like 3 sentences were good. And then the cons or whatever we're using to say the grows
Grow.
were that he added words that weren't in the sentences.
So he changed the meaning of the paragraph.
Did not.
He didn't change
Made it
the
more
meaning,
juicy.
but he changed the words.
All right.
Said
Made it more attractive.
they
to
won't
the
be
reader.
bored, and you assumed his friend's gender by saying all of the boys
I'm
cannot
sure
wait
he
to
did.
get there.
So how can he fix that in the future?
Uh,
Maddie, do you have
Oh.
a comment?
Yeah, he could write the sentences down when he told us to write the sentences down because he wasn't writing sentences.
I did write
That's
some.
really
I wrote the
good.
first 3. That's up.
All right. So he could have written the sentences and you talked about him before instead of making up his own words. So that's good. All right. Now we're gonna switch and give your papers back to their rightful owners. And then take a minute or two to write down little things from the conference that we just had. And whenever you're done, flip your paper over and you can go ahead and pack up your stuff to leave. Make a few
We
notes.
gotta write stuff.
Yeah. Write some things that your partner said. Sometimes it's good to read other people's work and learn from it.
I forgot what below meant.
And when you're done, flip your paper over and you can go ahead and pack up.
I
Good job, everybody. Y'all had a great class, and just hand me your papers as you walk out of the class.
How did you vote?
Next time, raise your hand and ask before
I
you
did.
sit back in.
You said no.
Thank you. Good job, everybody.